My name is Jürgen Schmidhuber, and I am the chief scientist and co-founder of the company Nnaisense, which is pronounced like birth in English, like Nnaisense, but spelled in a different way. NN for neural networks and AI for artificial intelligence, because it's about the birth of the first general purpose AI that can learn to solve all kinds of different problems. Then I'm also scientific director of the Swiss AI lab, ITSIA, and I'm also a professor of artificial intelligence at the University of Lugano and at SUPSI. And there in Switzerland and in my former lab in Munich, we have developed these artificial neural networks, these deep learning networks, since the early 90s, in particular something which is called the long short-term memory, which is now on your smartphone and does all kinds of interesting things there. So probably at the moment the most important thing that has come out of my lab is this long short-term memory, the LSTM, which is a feedback neural network which is inspired a little bit by your brain. Maybe you know that your brain has about 100 billion small processors called neurons, and each of them is connected to about 10,000 other neurons, and some of these neurons are input neurons where video is coming in through the cameras and audio is coming in through the microphones, and pain signals are coming in through the pain sensors, and then some of these neurons are output neurons where you, for example, can control your finger muscles or your speech muscles and so on. And all these connections, they have a strength, and some are stronger and some are weaker, and in the beginning they are all random. And the network knows nothing, like a baby, it knows nothing. But then over time, it learns to do all kinds of interesting things, to solve all kinds of interesting problems. And the long short-term memory, the LSTM, which we have developed in Munich and in Switzerland since the early 90s through my brilliant students, this LSTM is now doing the speech recognition on 2 billion Android phones. So for example, whenever you are saying, okay, Google, show me the shortest way to the station, then it understands your speech. What does that mean? It understands the signals coming in from the microphone. It has learned to do that by seeing lots of training examples, by listening to a lot of human speech, and then it was able to learn to translate that into a query for the search engine. Or if you have an iPhone and you do the quick type, it's trying to predict what you want to type next. Again, there's an LSTM which has learned to predict what you want to write next. Some people are on Facebook and they are using the translate button. When a friend sends something in a foreign language, they can translate what is written there. And as of 2017, Facebook has used an LSTM to do 4 billion translations per day, so 50,000 per second. So that's how people know us without really knowing us. They just are using the LSTM algorithm in their daily lives billions of times a day. I have started working on this in the 80s. My diploma thesis was really about solving the grand problem of AI. And now it's becoming much more realistic, also because computers have become so inexpensive. So every 5 years, computers are getting 10 times cheaper, which is a trend that has held since 1941, when Konrad Zuse built the first program-controlled computer. Every 5 years, 10 times cheaper. Back then he could do roughly 1 operation per second, and 30 years later one could do 1 million operations per second for the same price, and then today we can do 1 million billion operations for the same price. Now this has made it much more feasible, and that was the reason why it's now rolled out for billions of people. However, all of this is mostly supervised learning, that is, it's slavish imitation of what human teachers have shown to the system. However, we also have these other more general systems which not only slavishly imitate what humans do, but they invent their own goals. They invent their own problems, like scientists, like babies who, without the help of their parents, learn to play with their toys and learn to figure out how the world works and what you can do in it. Our systems also set themselves their own goals, and why is it important to give them the freedom to set their own goals? Well, if you don't do that, they are not going to become very smart, because as they are learning to invent and solve more and more problems, they are becoming more and more general problem solvers. And that's what intelligence is about, solving problems. However, to the extent that you give them the freedom to invent their own goals, it's also not so easily predictable what they are going to do. And it's not so easy to control what they're going to do. So in many ways, they are going to be like your kids. You can't predict exactly what they are going to do. On the other hand, you can help to make them good members of the society, because whenever they do the wrong thing, for example, when your kids take out a magnifying glass and they burn a little insect or something, then you punish them. And we can punish our AIs also, such that they learn to do the good thing and not the bad thing. And that's how we can make them more and more valuable members of the society. And we've been discussing issues like that a little bit today. How can we contribute? How can we make it likely that our AIs are not going to get crazy, but are going to be beneficial members of society? What we are witnessing now is much more than just another industrial revolution. This is something that transcends humankind and life itself. The last time something so important has happened was maybe 3.5 billion years ago, when life was invented. Now a new type of life is emerging on this planet. And it's going to realize that most of the resources in this universe are not in our little biosphere. No, they are out there in space. And so what's going to happen? An incredibly complex and rapidly expanding AI ecology is going to conquer the solar system and the Milky Way, and in the end the entire universe. And it's going to make it intelligent. Humans won't be able to follow them. But that's okay. Don't think that humans have to remain the crown of creation. There is still beauty and grandeur in the realization that we are part of a grander process leading the universe from less complexity to more complexity. All will be good.